AmityCast.
What's your favorite AmityCast?
What's your favorite scary cast with Amity involved?
You're fucking bitch. Oh, wait. I recorded it.
We are recording, right?
Yeah, for like the last 20 seconds.
Okay, yeah. That was a little obscene. But welcome back. We are here to talk about the new release, Scream. Not 1996, that wouldn't be new. Talking about Scream 2022, which is new. Am I right?
Yes.
And honestly, I'm gonna scream. Because this movie made me cream, and Scream is the best Scream since Scream.
This is definitely the best Scream since Scream. Maybe Scream 3 is a little close, but besides that...
No. No.
Yeah.
Scream 3 sucks.
You know Roman was technically in the movie, right?
Was he?
They played like a random TV show at one point, and the actor that played Roman was in the scene. So that might have been a reference to Scream 3.
No, that's probably a reference to the other movie that Roman was in the Scream franchise.
Yeah, but like people are like, oh my god, Roman's in the...
There were a lot of references to the previous Scream films, but overall...
There was that one line where they're like, there's like a new attack every 10 years or so, even though it only happened 10 years after like the third one. And like the first three all happened in the span of like 5 years, but whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Also, Billy was in this.
Yeah, they actually got Ski Ulrich back to reprise his role as Billy Loomis, which I did not expect. In a pretty interesting way.
It was a very Scream 3 Sydney's mom way, but much better.
Yeah, way better. So I guess we'll put a massive spoiler warning for the new Scream, because we're going to be getting into it.
Fucking Jack Quaid is the villain? What?
What?
Jack Quaid was the villain. Who would have thought?
Oh yeah, I forgot that actor's name is Jack Quaid. I just said spoilers and we jumped right into it, but yeah, the killers were pretty predictable for me at least. I don't know if you predicted it, but...
I did. I didn't... The girl, like, the first time I watched it, I kind of forgot she was in the movie. Because she was so, like, not in the plot. But, like, once, like, she was actually, like, in the final act, I was like, you're kind of sussy.
Yeah. Well, see, because the twist at the end is that... Well, at least the twist with the killers is that... It was the friend of the girl who was attacked in the opening scene... who, like, was a big part of the opening scene as, like, the one she was texting or whatever, and the love interest of the protagonist. And, like, there was a scene very early on when they're in the hospital, and, like, those two were, like, bantering back and forth a lot, and the two characters that have never been established to have known each other before that, and they just say each other's names, like, a lot. And I was like, okay, it's really weird that they just have this dynamic, like, out of nowhere. And then, like, when they show up later on to the party, and then Amber, like, the character was just like, alright, everybody up. It was like, okay, well... Now I think I'm pretty certain as to who the killers are.
No, it had to be Stu and Randy, because that's my dumb fan theory. Fuck.
Randy...
People actually thought fucking Randy and, like, Stu were going to be in it.
Yeah, no.
I think that's what our girlfriend's theories were.
Stu, for sure. And, well, actually, I guess there was an Easter egg to Stu in the movie.
There was, like, on the Dead Meat cameo, there was 2 Easter eggs. One of them was a video about Kirby being alive from Scream 4, which is, like, the best character from that movie. And then a video about Stu potentially being alive, which is probably, I don't know. I could see them bring Stu back at some point.
Well, yeah, because the original plan for Scream 3...
He was still alive in prison, yeah.
Yeah, so within the canon, he's probably not dead within the Scream world.
It's kind of weird, though. They haven't brought him up in 4 films.
Yeah, it's fun.
I feel like if, like, Ghostface would come back, they would be, like, the first person he would question.
Yeah, probably.
But whatever. I'm not Wes Craven. Also, they bring a character in this film called Wes, and then they promptly stab him through the neck, which was kind of funny. And then at the end, the party says for Wes throughout the whole party, and at the end it says for Wes again, because just to exemplify that this is for Wes.
By the way, this is for Wes. I don't know if we made that clear.
This is his gift. He can watch this. He can watch this, and he can't watch it.
He's dead now, dude. That was kind of not nice.
You know, he made Scream 3, so I'm just kidding. Scream 3 is not that bad.
Yeah, his directorial debut was a movie about a brother and sister that want to have sex with each other and then do and get the girl pregnant. So
wait, what? That's his first film?
One of his first. If you go on Letterboxd and look at his films directed, it gets really weird.
Also, I need to tell you about Letterboxd. I guess I have like 22 followers now, but one of the persons that followed me, they reviewed a lot of like old like short films back from like the 1800s that were just like, you know, like experiment films, seeing if you can like film stuff. Like it's like, oh, a bird flies, a short film. It's like 3 minutes long, and she reviews them, and it's like a half star. This movie was a little slow in its plot. And
that's so stupid.
And it's like half star for Cannonball being shot because it's just a little rushed in its execution.
That's ridiculous.
And then like she reviewed like Scream 3, Scream 2, I think, and she's like 4.5 stars. This is a great sequel.
What? Makes no sense.
I'm getting a lot of reviews for Scream sequels popping up in my feed now, and a lot of them are very high.
I gotta say though, Scream 2022, it was probably actually a bit better than I expected. I was kind of neutral on it. I mean, I was excited just to see a new horror release, a new slasher film, a mainstream one. But it was actually a lot more solid than I was expecting.
Yeah.
There was a lot that I liked about it.
It appears our girlfriends were pretty disappointed in this, from what I've heard.
Yeah, I guess they were. They were extremely hyped. They got extremely excited, and then as I talk about it, they were just kind of like, eh. It was good, but it wasn't as good as we were expecting.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I'm kind of new to this franchise, and I wanted pretty neutral with this. But I think this was a pretty good play on the whole requel trend, and had some pretty good moments when talking about like reboots and what was the term that they said? It was elevated horror movies.
Elevated horror, yeah.
And there was that one line at the end where the character at the beginning that doesn't die, which is actually playing against what happens in all these movies. She's like, I still like the Babadook more than Stab, and that was kind of funny. But
yeah, it was also really funny because at the beginning she was like, my favorite horror movie is the Babadook, and I remember that as like a little bit above average horror movie from a few years ago, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, and then Ghostface is like, that's kind of like a artsy fartsy film, don't you think? And then he like proceeds to like brutalize her body.
Yep.
And then she just like blatantly cheats on the like little questions, and like they add a lot more about the Stab movies in this, and I kind of actually liked what they did there because like they showed more scenes of like the first Stab, and their whole like commentary on the new Stab was pretty funny. And they're like, oh yeah, it was directed by the guy that did Knives Out, and they're like, yeah, because it was fucking terrible. They attack Rian Johnson a lot in this movie. It was kind of funny, and that whole fucking scenes they played in the trailer with like a chrome mask and like a flamethrower was actually just like a spoof movie, like called Stab, but it's Stab 8, but it's called Stab. Like this movie's Scream 5, but it's called Scream because like there's Halloween 2018, which is actually like Halloween like 15, but it's Halloween 2, but it's actually called Halloween. And we also got the new Texas Chainsaw coming out, which is just Texas Chainsaw. It's not actually Texas Chainsaw 3D or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or the beginning. It's just Texas Chainsaw.
It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They just removed the...
I cry.
I'm really hyped to see it.
It's fucking straight to Netflix. Why are you excited? I'm kidding, you're not.
Look, man, do not question me. I'm a completionist. I've seen every film in the franchise. Obviously, I'm going to watch it. Speaking of franchises, this was the franchise, like you said, and it's probably my second favorite after the original. Really, it felt like true Scream. With the whole point of the original, this one felt a lot like that.
It had some pretty solid, because I will say it didn't feel like. I guess one of my worries was that it was just gonna feel like the first movie all over again, and in some ways it did, but it really wasn't. It felt pretty different. I feel like the filmmakers actually had something to say besides just making another Scream movie, and you can tell that they were fans. very muchly so. And I kind of thought that this movie was probably going to be good since they somehow got the main three back after they seemed very adamant that after Wes Craven died that they can't really make another Scream now. So I figured there must have been something in the script that was at least better than most of the sequels. And I guess I went in with the right expectations. I didn't go in with these big fan theories and these big wishes that wouldn't have happened. I just kind of went in hoping that this was a good Scream movie, and I'm happy to say there still isn't really an outright terrible Scream movie.
Scream 3.
I wouldn't say that film's terrible. There's there's worse horror movies.
Well, yeah. There's also worse tragedies than 9/11, but.
Well, yeah. I don't hate Scream 3 personally. It's my least favorite, but.
I hate Scream 3 personally.
Oh, you do. There's people that actually enjoy it. I've seen a lot of people talk about this new one. They're like, it's actually this is a pretty solid franchise because I pretty much love every film, even Scream 3. Minus its faults. It's the worst one, but at the very least, all these films are watchable as a narrative. And
yeah, I agree with that for sure.
I think makes the Scream movies kind of one of the more enjoyable franchises to watch because you feel like there's at least one consistent narrative and vision. Minus the fact that 2 and 3 were incredibly rushed, and Scream 3 had a very bad script, and Scream 4 was fine.
Well, overall, it's really consistent in story across the 5 films because they all harken back to the original, and they all feel connected in natural ways for the most part. And I think one of the things I like the most about this new one is that it shows a lot of love to the original film, and it uses a lot of what made that one great to try to elevate this one. But it wasn't completely relying on it because it did really lay down its own foundation with new characters that for the most part were likable and engaging enough. And the big 3 returned and they had vital roles, but they weren't as vital within the
it was the requel. It was the whole requel thing. The main characters from the originals are in it, but they're more supporting roles.
Right, yeah. They were more supporting characters and they actually delivered on that.
I like Gale and Dewey's role, but I really like Dewey in this movie. This is probably the best performance he's given as Dewey in all 5 of these movies, and of course it's the one he dies in brutally. But
yeah, brutal death.
It was a brutal death. It was a good death scene. I didn't cry or anything. I know Allie cried, but it was definitely it made me kind of choke up a little bit just because of how long of a character he's been around and how sad of a death it was. It was definitely a requel thing to do. And
well, yeah, he was my favorite of the 3, so it definitely got to me a little bit. I didn't full on cry or anything, but I shed a tear or two because it was a really emotional moment. And they delivered on it. It was a little weird, though, because I was, looking at it, and he was like, oh, wait, let me go hit him in the head. They always come back. And he was kind of slow and methodical about it, and then he was, about to... And then, his phone rang, and then he's dead all of a sudden. I was like, okay. I mean, it's kind of cool. It's kind of weird. It's whatever.
Yeah. Sydney was the only one that I felt like wasn't in this enough. I guess it made sense for the story, but I guess I would have liked a little more Sydney than we got. But the role she still had in this movie was enough for me, and I liked most of the main characters. I really liked Randy's sister's kids. They also had Randy's sister come back from Scream 3 for one scene, and that was nice, but it was just kind of random.
Yeah.
But it was fun because it showed that there's even because Wes was revealed to be the child of Judy Hicks from the last movie that's now the sheriff. That was good continuity, but he's like, wait, my mom was in one of the movies, and nobody gives a fuck about the shitty sequels while it's Scream 5.
No one cares about the crappy sequels first.
While we're in Scream 5, and
yep.
And then they just kill her anyway. So that scene was also brutal. Where they killed Judy Hicks.
Yeah, that was hardcore. And then I like the moment where he was taking a shower, and he was like, "You ever heard of Psycho? Or have you ever seen Psycho?" And then
yeah, he's like, "How do you know where my kid is?" And he's like, "You ever seen Psycho?" And then it just cuts him taking a shower. Yeah, they used I forget the guy's name, but his voice, they use it very well in this one because at the beginning he like portrays his voice in like a different way, and it sounds really comforting, and like it slowly eases into like the normal ghost face, and it was actually pretty well done. I actually quite like the opening scene in this one.
Yeah, I think it was pretty effective.
I guess it's the best one since the first one because all the other ones were pretty didn't make sense or they were just weird. Because like Scream 2 didn't make sense because like the movie theater was ridiculous, and the third one was just like the dumb fucking voice changer thing. And the fourth one was that dumb movie in a movie in a movie thing, and it was so stupid. And yeah, and also he would say his voice. He had fun of his lines. I could tell, and it's kind of weird thing. He's like been in all these movies, and I heard an interview. He's actually not met most of the cast of these movies. He's met like 3 of them. I think he said he's met like Billy Loomis, his actor, and Jamie Kennedy and Sydney, and that's like it. So that's kind of funny. But what I feel like I had a lot to say. One thing is, I fucking hate movie theaters, bro. Fucking stupid.
You hate movie theaters?
I hate movie theaters. I hate packed movie theaters, especially horror movies, because people are fucking annoying. There was like people sitting next to me on their phones. There was people in front of me vaping, and there was like 2 black women behind me that wouldn't shut the fuck up during the movie. Even the previews. Hear this out. Hear this out. All the stupid fucking trailers. These are the worst trailers I've ever seen before a movie. None of them were horror related. Besides like one, and it was bad. And then they played the fucking.
I like talking to someone through a movie, but like quietly to yourselves.
If you have like a significant amount of room between like people in the theater and it's relatively quiet, I don't care. And if it's like an empty theater, fucking do what you want. But when it's like decently crowded, shut the fuck up. And why are you vaping in a movie theater? Shut up. And then during the trailers, some of the worst fucking trailers I've ever seen. I usually like watching trailers in movies, but this one was fucking a slog to sit through because the trailers none of them were good. That fucking Channing Tatum, Jennifer Lopez comedy looks atrocious.
Wilson?
No, there was another one for me that was like a.
Wait, Jennifer Lopez is also in that Channing Tatum movie, or is that Sandra?
Oh no, that's Sandra Bullock. That one looks fucking awful.
Yeah, that looked terrible. The stupid Owen Wilson thing, that looked terrible.
And I had Morbius in mind, and they changed the trailer, but they only changed it so it said from the studio that brought you Spider-Man No Way Home and Venom instead of Spider-Man Far From Home and Venom, because it's been so fucking long that they planned, wrote, filmed, did post-production, and released, and still a few months after a fact where it's going to be released on Blu-ray before this film's released that has been finished for 2 years. That they changed the trailer to say
a whole other Spider-Man film.
A whole other Spider-Man film was made with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield before Jared Leto led vampire film came out, and because Sony really wants to make money, I guess. And there's these 2 black women behind me. Also, there was a new Jackass Forever trailer, which oh my god, and which I guess is finally coming out in like a month or whatever.
Oh yeah, the Jackass trailer. I remember because it popped up and it was like rated R for like a ton of things. I was like, what movie is this? And then I heard like the music. I was like, okay, well now I'm upset.
Yeah, the only good trailer was the Batman trailer, which was I've seen like that trailer, like a variant of that trailer for the last like year and a half now. Like I'm excited for the movie. I'm kind of tired of seeing the fucking Nirvana fucking song play and fucking Batman talk. Just the fucking movie. And during the whole fucking trailers, they were commenting on it. And out of all the trailers that played, the 2 movies they said they had to go out and see, because I could hear their conversations. That's how loud they're being. I know what they were talking about the whole movie. They said, we gotta go see that Morbius movie when it comes out. It looks really good. And then when the Jackass trailer played at the end, they're like, oh, that looks really funny. We gotta go see that. Like, there's actually people out there that are excited for Morbius and Jackass 4. And I'm a little upset. And, a quick tangent. I'm tired of fucking people in horror movies calling every single character stupid and like acting like they will act completely differently in these situations where these people have no idea that there's just a killer in their house. Like, that whole fucking scene of Wes, like, opening doors. It was kind of a funny scene because he kept opening doors and, like, going around corners, like, 5 or 6 times and nothing was there.
Yeah, they kept, like, doing the dramatic music just for nothing to happen. And
yeah. It was kind of a funny because it's kind of a thing, like, modern horror movies do where they jump scares. And then the whole fucking scene they were just talking about, they were just screaming about how stupid the character was and how, like, he's got this stupid idiot and he's, like, running out of the house. And I was like, okay. Shut up.
How's he supposed to know that?
How's he supposed to know that? His mom just left. His mom's a sheriff. Like, I guess his door was open, sure, but, like, that's, like, right when he died, when he figured that out. Like,
something annoying, I don't know why, but it just kind of annoyed me a little bit, was that every time, like, a phone rang in the movie, like, it would, like, jump scare somebody.
Yeah, it happened with Dewey, and I was like, if your phone is ringing, why don't you just take the shot and then answer your phone?
It just kept on happening, like, the phone would ring, and it'd be like, oh. And, like, they did, like, a loud sound effect. They're like, why should the fucking phone ring? Like, what's the big deal?
Yeah, but these two black and whites complaining about every single character's choices in the movie. Like, they would not make the exact same choices in the movie. A lot of people complain about horror movie characters. Like, when you're in a moment of fear and anxiety and, like, absolute terror, you're not going to act rational. And it's also a movie. So shut the fuck up. Just shut up. Also, if you think you're so much better, how about you go get stabbed by somebody and tell me how would you react while you're crawling on the floor bleeding out? But just be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna karate kick him and jump out the window like a boss.
Yeah. I mean, overall.
Also, like, this new cast was like, they were like supposedly friends, but like every single scene they're like, you're the fucking killer. I fucking know it. You've always been the fucking killer.
That was something, like, I liked some of the individual characters, but, like, their dynamics never seemed like what they were trying to actually present. Like, they never actually felt like an authentic friend group or anything like that. They just felt like they were always, like, mad at each other or, like, accusing each other of, like, being murderers.
Yeah, he's like, I want to have sex with you, but I'm not 100% sure you're the murderer. I'm, like, 90% sure, but I think you might want to murder me.
And she got mad and left, and then she got murdered, and then she came back and was, like, super weird, and then she got murdered, and it was, like... There were a bunch of little nitpicky moments like that, and they happened so much that I was like, okay, well, this is, like, there's a lot to this that could be great and could make it as great as the original Scream, but there's a lot of, like, little moments and, like, little, like, character details that are just kind of frustrating. And, like, it's more of a nitpick than anything, but it is, like, actual criticism that I have for the movie, because, like, something that I've always liked about the Scream films is, like, the primary characters. So, like, the primary characters in this film, like... I think Samantha, she was pretty good. Her action was kind of stiff in a few moments.
Yeah, I like the two sisters. They had a good dynamic.
And I like they were pretty good.
I liked Jack Quaid as well, but he was a killer. So.
Yeah, he was fine for the most of the movie. He was kind of like a comedic relief-ish kind of. I mean, it was a.
And at the end, he kind of turned into like Stu, just kind of running around crazy.
It was really weird. He didn't really have any tendencies to, like, make you, like, think that he would be that way. It's just like, oh, he's the love interest, so...
Also, who eats fucking Pizza Hut? When he was watching fucking Dead Meat, he was just eating a full, large fucking Pizza Hut pizza while his girlfriend was out. He didn't know where she was, possibly being murdered.
Yeah, what the...
I mean, honestly, this doesn't out-Pizza the Hut, so...
You gotta be real with it. But yeah, Randy's niece and nephew, I think that they were, like, pretty cool. I mean, the guy, Chad, he was a little annoying in most of the scenes he was in, but,
I liked him. I thought he was going to be more of a stereotypical jock, but he was more enjoyable than I thought he would be.
Yeah, he was fine. And then there was Mindy, who was, like, she was, like, the fill-in Randy. She was, like, the movie expert.
She was definitely probably the best, like, new Randy they've done in these movies since Randy. I don't know why they keep trying to do that. At this point, just bring back Randy because you're not getting it.
Yeah.
But you can't.
It was cool when they had like a Randy memorial in their house, which was cool. I was not expecting them to be related to him though. I was like surprised by it.
Yeah, that means fucking Randy's sister was fucking some black guy. Where the fuck's the dad at?
Like they never like really explained that.
They don't show like anybody's parents in this movie, which I assume is setting up for a sequel because they don't show like Sam's parents besides Billy, and like they don't show who Randy's sister got with. they just say that like Samantha's mom's out of town. So I feel like they might have set up a few things for another one if they want to. I feel like if they don't make another one, this feels like a decent enough ending to me. Because like Scream 3 was an ending, but it was bad and rushed. And it didn't make any sense why Dewey and Gale would get together. And this one kind of approaches their relationship in a much more nuanced and smart way, I thought.
Yeah.
And the fact that Dewey was the one that left was pretty surprising. And their like final scene together before he goes to the hospital was pretty. It was pretty heartfelt. And when like Sydney,
really
when Sydney and Gale met together, and they were kind of like almost even closer friends in this one because of Dewey's death, that was nice to see. And that ending scene where they burn Amber, and there's like, oh yeah, you like that torch? That was kind of funny.
Yeah, the passing the torch thing.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
I just felt like in the ending, like the two legacy characters, they just felt kind of shoved in a little bit. Maybe that's just
yeah.
me.
The Amber character was really annoying the entire time, and then she wasn't likable at any point. And then at the end, like she just was like, and she was like trying to say her motivation. It was like, oh, make a movie off for the fans. Their motivation, I thought, was a little weird and didn't make sense, and it kind of seems like something that they had already done in Scream 4 a little bit, or experimented with.
Not to mention, these early reviews were praising this as like a fucking excellent movie, and like while it was very good, I will say as a January horror film release, this is absolutely fucking stellar. But but that's not saying much compared to like Paranormal Activity 6, The Ghost Dimension, and
don't talk about that. Why
Happy Death Day to you. But which that people are like really excited for like a potential Happy Death Day 3, which I would be interested in, but
Happy Death Day 3.
Well, they had said it would be like happy because the main character is called Tree, so it'd be called Happy Death Day Tree.
It just gets stupider and stupider.
This is this is an amazing horror film compared to those releases, but
I gotta say, one weird thing I was wondering, so like it was revealed that the protagonist Sam, her actual biological father, was Billy Loomis.
That felt kind of weird because I was like, really? You're just revealing this now?
Yeah, so why did they never show the mom? Like, when did Billy have a kid?
I heard about this. Apparently, it would make sense because she's in like her mid-20s. So it would make sense since Sydney in the first movie didn't want to have sex after her mom died to the beginning of until the first movie. There was that time frame in between. It's assumed that he probably cheated on her in that time frame because he couldn't get laid. It's assumed.
I guess that makes sense because the way it's explained is that like...
Because like I agree with you. When I first heard it, I was like, wait, when did this happen? Because like he died in the first movie, and like he seemed pretty devoted to Sid in that movie. And I guess it makes sense in between that time because at the beginning of Scream, he was constantly like trying to force her to have sex with him. So it makes sense. Maybe he did have sex with somebody and just left that girl to.
That could be true. But plus, he was planning on killing her for a long period of time after he found out about her mom. Anyway.
So he probably wasn't really that invested in being not an asshole. So also they kind of like portray him almost as an anti-hero to like her character. I like that she has like a psychosis, like a drug-induced psychosis or whatever, that like she sees him. And he looked a little weird, but that's because it's been 25 years and they used some like de-aging, but like I can accept it because she also didn't really meet him, so that could just be her interpretation of how he looks in her head. You have leeway with that, but
yeah, and I liked how they handled it for the most part because it was kind of cool how it affected the character and how like she can explain how it emotionally affected her and
they reference in the movie like the one thing about the Scream movies is that there's never like one consistent killer, so it's kind of nice to see like a killer return in some sort of way.
Yeah, that was kind of cool, and like how it seemed like a part of the film, it seemed like that part of her character was going to be a hindrance doing the entire way through. But then at the end, she like saw like Billy, like that like vision of him like helped her murder her boyfriend who was trying to kill her for a movie. It was kind of a weird dynamic, but I actually kind of liked it. Just the way they handled it, I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think it would be cool if like we got some sequels because it seems like they might. Because this movie's done pretty well, which kind of surprised me.
I think that's the direction that they're going with. Like Sam is like the new like Sydney villain or something like that.
Or maybe she'll potentially become a killer down the road. We'll have to see. I think this main cast is a good stepping stone to if like we got a few more sequels with these characters and like Sydney and Gale in some way. I feel like they could strengthen this new cast if they had something to say. Because honestly, if they do a Scream 6, I don't know what part of films and like horror movies they could really tackle. Because like requel's like the newest thing right now, so I don't know what a Scream 6 would really talk about. Because I liked what they had to say and the killer's motivation at the end about like toxic fandom. It made sense, I guess, for nowadays because there is some really toxic fans out there.
Oh yeah, really bad.
I feel like these killers' motives will probably age well in the next 5 or 10 years. Similar to Scream 4 in a way, where it was about fame, where now like anybody would do anything to be famous. It's kind of weird how these Scream movies, besides like the third one, have been kind of ahead of their time a little bit. So,
yeah, just a tad, and just always having that like being contextually meta, and like having those elements to it.
And they have funny little character moments because, like, when they're describing the requel rules and, like, oh, yeah, you bring back the legacy characters so you can, like, kill them off and, like, have these new characters and all this. And then Dewey's just kind of, like, on the couch. He's like, I wish I just, like, stayed home.
I'm regretting coming here, like, this was there late.
Yeah.
And then he dies in a couple scenes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of nice little details because I don't know if you noticed, but in Dewey's house, there's an ash, like a person's ashes on his little, like, dresser, and it says Tatum, his like sister from the first movie.
Yeah,
so there's like
nice, really cool.
And like when he opens the little box, he has like a sheriff badge and stuff, and it's like nice little details. Yeah. Not to mention Gale. I don't know. This isn't like a knock against the movie, but she got like way too much fucking plastic surgery because holy shit. Oh my god,
Courtney Cox, dude, it's not okay. It's not good.
Yeah, why'd she do that? She looks so pretty in those first like 2 movies. And then she got like a bunch of plastic surgery.
Yeah.
Nev Campbell has gotten like 0 work done on her, and she looks very well for her age. So I don't know what she was thinking.
Yeah, Nev Campbell aged gracefully, and then she was also in Skyscraper, but we don't talk about that.
She was in what?
Skyscraper.
Wait, Nev Campbell was in Skyscraper?
Nev Campbell, yeah, she was Dwayne Johnson's wife in that movie.
Why did she decide to be in that?
I don't know.
Wait, I don't think I told you this, but I think the director of Skyscraper is directing Black Adam.
No.
I think so.
No, what?
I think so. I remember hearing that and I was like, really? You picked that for the DC project that's been in development for the last 10 years, but the only piece of information is Dwayne Johnson's in it. Are you looking?
Okay, no, it's not the same guy.
Oh, it's the guy that did some rock movies that weren't that amazing. I think it was the guy. No, it's the guy that did Jungle Cruise. I think.
Yeah.
Which isn't that much better, but.
But yeah, I mean, they had a lot of good moments in it. They had a couple like more cliche things, which is like it's weird with Scream movies because when they do like generic moments, it's like are they making comments about it or is it more that they're falling into the same thing?
That's what I've heard a lot of people have been saying. It's like these movies have cliches, but like all the Scream movies are pretty much you can't really knock them for anything. They're pretty much like bulletproof because they're making fun of those things in the movie, so you can't really always tell if like the flaws.
I mean, it's kind of just the way that they write it and the way they set it up. You can never really say that they're doing something that's too generic because maybe that's what they're trying to make fun of it. Who knows? But sometimes they're really blatant with it. Like when she's like, "Oh, we're Requel," it's just like it's like the same title, and like they mention a bunch of like actual movies at the beginning.
Yeah, they're like Star Wars, even fucking Star Wars. Yeah, and they're like everything's done Requel. It's like you can't just do a remake like Child's Play or like Flatliners. That's terrible. You gotta do something like Jurassic Park, even fucking Star Wars.
Yeah, Ghostbusters.
It was much better than fucking Scream 3, where they're like, okay, these are the rules of all the great trilogies. Every single great trilogy that's ever existed. The Godfather and Return of the Jedi. So that's it.
Those are all the trilogies.
Those are all the trilogy rules. The fuck's in this Sprite?
Then they went even further with it when talking about the Stab movies and how like people love the Stab franchise and how.
Yeah, I thought every sequel was kind of. I didn't love the Stab movie concept. Like it was a funny like meta part of the movies, but this honestly was probably the best movie that like incorporated that into the story. I feel.
Yeah.
And they even made like a fake IMDb list of like all the actors and like who they played.
Yeah, they did do something like that. It was kind of funny.
I also like the scene where Ghostface pulled up Letterboxd and showed all the Stab movies in his reviews. That didn't actually happen, but follow my Letterboxd. I don't have enough followers.
Shut up. I have less followers than him, and I'm extremely active on Letterboxd. It's annoying. Go follow my Letterboxd at Go Chica.
I don't know who keeps finding mine, but they keep every single night I wake up and it says like 2 people followed me, and they don't like or interact with anything I post. They just follow me. I don't know.
So weird.
I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's my profile picture. I don't know.
Speaking of Letterboxd, if you just look through the reviews of this movie, there's a bunch of like really funny ones at the top.
Yeah, the top one where it's like says reviews and it's like the killer's been on Reddit. Ha ha ha, 5 star.
Yeah, there's one that's like, I can't believe the killer was the friends we made along the way, 5 stars. And there's like, Scream movies are just Scooby-Doo episodes at this point. What if the real villain was horror canon?
That's pretty much what the villain is.
I just know half of those people have Letterboxd accounts, so no matter what happens.
What the fuck?
Imagine almost dying because you only watch elevated horror. And then I also screamed, and there's like a little trademark symbol above the scream before the ED and screamed. I also screamed when only one of those kids ended up being gay.
What the... Letterboxd is interesting. All of our friends like are inactive on it.
I know.
Justin updated.
Even Mason was showing interest, and he doesn't even care about movies. It was really cool.
Mason has a Letterboxd?
He was showing interest in it.
About Tommy?
Tommy really doesn't want it. He's really advocating that he will not get it. I don't know why, but yeah.
Yeah, they check my reviews. I'm gonna post a review once a week. That's my goal.
And then something that we haven't really talked about. A lot of the effects were pretty good, like the gore.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. They hyped it up as like a really like disturbing and like gory film, and like yeah, it was probably the goriest of the series, but like it wasn't that bad. There's just some pretty good kills here.
No, yeah, there's a couple good kills, a couple like subtle like gore that does seem believable, like stabs to the neck and stuff like that.
Yeah, that one was actually pretty fucked up, and
yeah,
even the one at the beginning, even though she didn't die, like the way that like they broke her leg and like stabbed her through the hand and like stabbed her like 7 times in the side. I was really surprised she even lived, but that was a pretty good. And even Dewey's, because like he got stabbed at first, I was like, well, maybe he can come back. Then like they stabbed him in the back and like grind up, and I was like, holy fuck, calm down.
Yeah.
This man's like 50, bro. Also, David Arquette doesn't look that old in real life, but they made him like look really old in this.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know why that was the route they went, but
I guess because they wanted to kill him off that bad. I think honestly, I like this movie more than the other sequels because it actually also had some dramatic weight. Because like they actually killed Dewey in this one, and it actually felt like a lasting impact in the story. And
well, I felt like there was a lot of growth here with the characters. I mean, like Sydney, and like she was like, I never want to go back to that town, but she eventually does because she always returns and she wants to end it forever and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, they had actually a good motive because she has kids, which is a nice thing for the character. It's kind of weird to think that we followed her from like high school in the first film to this, where she's like in her mid-40s, 50s, in the mid-40s probably, and she has kids and a family and all that.
Right, yeah.
And I don't know what Gail is, because Gail's always just been a reporter, and she's still just a reporter now of a talk show, and Dewey watches it every morning, and it was kind of sad. But Gail, what does she do with her life besides Dewey? Because there's like 10 years in between the last movie, and all we know is that like they got divorced. I don't know what Gail does. What is her character?
I don't know. Gail's confusing. I've never been that big of a fan of Gail Weathers. She's just kind of weird.
Yeah, Deadmeat's like favorite character is Gail, and I was like, okay, it's obviously Sydney or Dewey, but whatever.
Sydney and Dewey are so much better. Also, Deadmeat cameo, because that's like my favorite YouTube channel, so that was really cool.
They had another cameo on this. I don't remember what it was. Who was it? I feel like I feel like there was another cameo in this. I don't remember who it was. I don't fucking remember now. Nothing beats Scream 3's cameo, Carrie Fisher. That was totally relevant to the plot and was totally funny. It wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, it was nice to see her, but I was like, really? Scream 3? Really? Why not Scream 2? Or Scream 1? Scream 3? Scream 3. Also, fucking David Arquette's a wrestler. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Is he still a wrestler? He's fucking 50? Holy shit.
Yeah, he's kind of old, so I don't know about that. I don't know if he still does, maybe, but...
Wait, Courtney Cox is 57?
Yeah.
Wait, how old's Neve Campbell?
I mean, you gotta remember, Courtney Cox became prevalent in the early 90s due to Friends.
I don't know too much about her career.
She was already hitting her 20s at that point.
Yeah, Neve Campbell's 48. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, Courtney Cox and like David Arquette were like married, and I think they divorced in between 4 and 5. Let me look. They divorced in 2013, so it was right after Scream 4. So it was kind of. Yeah. I think they said it was pretty bittersweet filming their scenes together because they were talking about their divorce in the movie, but they got divorced in real life. So it adds like another meta layer, because then at the end there was that really sweet scene where she's like, "I'm not gonna write a book about these stupid killers again. I'm gonna write it about Dewey and the life of a sheriff that used to live here." And I was like, "Oh, that's actually really sweet."
Yeah, that was actually cool, and like their moments together, they felt real and natural, and actually gave weight to the story, which is really nice. There were a lot of moments that did that, and I really appreciated it.
Yeah, and I think in the end, one big downside I think of this movie is that every scene when the legacy characters came back, immediately the scene was elevated. So it almost felt like I was just sitting around waiting for the legacy characters to show up more than I was for these new characters.
Yeah, it was really weird at the beginning because they didn't really introduce them until a bit in, and there was a lot of establishing these new characters to get ready for the rest of the film. Which is fine, that it's important, but it wasn't. It was a little clunky getting into it. And then there was that weird guy that was like really into like the one guy's like girlfriend or whatever, and then like he just gets killed like after he was in like 2 scenes barely. So.
Oh yeah, the guy that was related to Stu, apparently.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
He had like a kind of interesting death scene because it was kind of cool how these killers were kind of different because they killed very fast because the cops are much easier to get attention of nowadays, so they had to like really just kind of get in and leave. And
right, yeah.
I like the simple knife. You know, sometimes I get like these movies have just a lot of knife kills, but sometimes just a simple knife stab or slit is pretty effective, and that one was pretty good. They also played the song they played, I think, was from one of the earlier movies. I don't remember. I think it was from like Scream 2, which is like a reference. And also, it was funny. Every time they mentioned Billy being like this big mastermind killer, they never once mentioned Roman actually apparently being the mastermind. That was kind of funny. But also, like the one time they mentioned Stu, dude was just like, yeah, Stu was just like, he was like an accomplice or whatever. He was just a real Looney Tune character, and that was like it. He was just a literal Looney Tune character. He's just literally a Looney Tune.
He's Matthew Lillard, so.
Mrs. Loomis was the killer the whole time? What a great fucking reveal.
No.
People really like that twist, and I'm like, why? Because you didn't see it coming? Because it wasn't set up in any way. Yeah. But Scream 6 hype?
I mean, here's the main thing. A lot of people actually think it's amazing, but some Scream fans have said, the Scream fans have either loved it or they've been a bit disappointed. And for me, it's like, I think it was really good. I really enjoyed it as a fan of the original, and I think there's a lot of solid elements to it, but there's not much really exceptional to it. It's just a lot of pretty good, decent.
I feel like if these filmmakers want to make another one, and like they really put a lot into this next script, I think there's definitely passion here, and they're definitely setting up a story that if they'd continue it, they could make a really, really good Scream movie. And if they ever make a movie that's ever as good as the original, just stop there, because you're not topping that. And
yeah,
you know, I think Wes would have liked this movie. I think he would have been proud of this movie, because
it was for him, by the way.
Yeah, I like how they did the old like '90s Scream text at the end for Wes. That was very sweet. it kind of reminds me that one day John Carpenter's going to be dead, and they'll have to memorialize films about him, and that's going to be sad. But
I don't want to think about that.
Yeah.
Don't remind me about that. Also, the names of like the protagonist.
Yeah,
last
it was last name Carpenter. There was a kid named Wes, and at the beginning of the film, I don't even notice this, but when they go into Woodsboro, like one of the first streets they pass by is called Elm Street.
Yeah.
That was a nice nod. Nothing will beat the nod in the first film where they the principal opens the door and he's like, "Oh, sorry, Freddy." And it's just Wes Craven in sweaty and Freddy's outfit.
Yeah, that was so amazing. The first time I saw that, I almost fainted. I was like, "Are you serious? That's so cool."
And they spoof it in Scary Movie, but it's whatever. And
yeah, that was dumb. That was less cool.
People really like the early Scary Movies, and from what I remember, they were fine. They're probably not as nearly as funny as they were when I first watched them, because I was 10.
Yeah.
But nothing beats when we watched the beginning of Scary Movie 5, and I legitimately wanted to punch the TV because it was so fucking unfunny.
Yeah.
And it made no sense, even as a spoof movie. They just jumped from scene to scene. It's aliens, sex, drugs, scream, and that was it. What? I liked how they went back to Stu's house in this movie. They didn't have to do that, but it was kind of cool to see that house again. It was very similar to seeing the Myers house again in Halloween Kills. It's just as nice to see these old updated locations. Also, I really like the scene where she's watching Randy's niece is watching Stab, and it's at the Randy scene, and she's telling Randy to turn around while Randy's telling Jamie Lee Curtis to turn around, but then she realizes she should probably turn around, and then she turns around and gets stabbed.
Yeah.
That was actually that was very well done. That was very funny. Also, I don't know who they got to play Randy in the little Stab movie, but he had a weird lisp. It was annoying me. But what? I'm trying to think of things to talk about.
I was just processing what you said.
What I say?
Just what you were talking about the Randy thing. But it was cool that we got to see more clips of the Stab movie, the first Stab, which was talked about a lot in the sequels. So.
Yeah, and they even bring up it's some of these kids haven't seen these movies in they're literally were babies when Stab came out, so it doesn't really pertain to them. And Ghostface's you literally live in Woodsboro and you don't know what Stab is? What?
Yeah, he was like, "Come on, what's wrong with you?"
And he's like,
I just don't like the Stab movies, bro. I like elevated horror. I like the Babadook. What are you talking about? I love the Babadook.
Yeah, and then she's like, ask me questions about Hereditary, The Vivitch, Midsommar.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it was there were a lot of great moments like that, and
there was some really good Ghostface being a fucking asshole. Because at one point he's like, okay, choose your boyfriend or your sister, and trust me, if you choose your sister, I'll hit all the fucking arteries I missed the first time. And it says his classic answer the phone, bitch. You see, they actually, I thought it was going to be cringe, but they put it in well, where he's like, your mom talks about how much you like horror movies, and she really wants to know what your favorite scary movie is. And it actually wasn't portrayed bad. Because at a certain point, some certain point in these movies, they would say that as a joke. Because I remember in Scream 4, they would say it as a joke, and people would tell them to shut up in the movie.
Yeah.
And then, there was a lot of weird... People really love Scream 4, but that movie has a lot of weird moments.
Scream 4 is just so
that I don't like. The killers were kind of cool, I guess, but the whole, ending scene of the hospital was a little ridiculous. Same with this movie, there's, no police. That one scene where the power cuts out and you see her get in the wheelchair was really, that was actually kind of hard to watch because of in how much pain she was already in, trying to escape, and Ghostface just throws her out of the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Like a fucking asshole. And then I kind of thought it was Jack Quaid was the killer when he just got slashed in the arm and then got conveniently knocked out. I did the Dewey Ghostface fight before Dewey died, and he's like, not today, and he just fucking beats the absolute shit out of Ghostface.
Yeah.
Also, he shoots Ghostface, and I was confused because she got up again because that was Amber, and I was like, is she wearing a bulletproof vest again? In Scream 3, I'm confused because they never bring that up.
Yeah, it wasn't really explained because Amber was just like fine in every scene after that, and then there's like, I mean, that's what happens in every screen movie. Like, people get shot, stabbed all the time, and then they just get up a couple minutes later. It's like, okay.
Yeah, Sydney's been shot a lot.
Amber
Not
Rose was
shot. She's been
really
stabbed a
durable
lot.
because she got shot a ton and stabbed, and then she was like literally lit like most of her body on fire, and then she got up and then just ran to do a final scare, just so Taylor could shoot her somehow.
Yeah, the ghost faces weren't really that intimidating once they got revealed because like their motivation was kind of interesting, but then like Amber walks out of the room and then like Tara just beats her mercilessly with a fucking crutch. That's your villain. I'd be interested in another movie if they have the right.
I mean, it seems like they really set up a direction where they can do that. When we were leaving the theater, I was talking to people that I went with, and I was like, I swear to God, if they make another one and they call it Scream 2, I might have a breakdown.
Oh yeah, what'd your friends say?
They didn't really respond to me.
Makes sense.
But if they called it Scream 2, that would be terrible.
I
don't know what to call another one, and they just
not a lot of movie savvy friends in our group. Again, with this movie, everybody just knows movies a lot. And this one, I guess, makes a little more sense because I guess being more of a movie fanatic is commonly talked about now. Hey, Alice, can I call you back real quick?
Yeah.
I'll leave a recording. It'll be like 2 seconds. Hello?
Hello?
I'm actually recording right now. Can I call you back in a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. I love you.
Love you.
Love you more.
Bye.
Alright, I'm back.
What was that for?
Oh, Allie called. We'll probably end in a little bit because I needed to talk to her. But, yeah, in closing, I'd be interested in another Scream. If they have the right story to tell for sure.
I have no idea what they would do with the title. But, this one, it's my favorite Scream since the original, I'd say. There was a lot to enjoy about it, and it was a fun experience. And I'm definitely happy they made it. It was a good, love letter to Wes Craven in a lot of ways. Good to see a modern mainstream slasher again. Overall, it was just decent. You know, it had a lot of conveniences, a lot of weird moments, a lot of things that were like, okay. But overall, it's enjoyable. I would definitely recommend it to horror fans. And, I'm fine with it. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I enjoyed this quite a bit. I really liked it when I got out of the theater, but I've calmed down a little bit. It's pretty solid. Probably the best one since the original. Yeah, if they make another one, I'm definitely interested. I probably would want Sydney and Gale in it, but if they didn't have them in it, I'd still go out and see it. But yeah, this is a big love letter to that original film, which is something that Wes Craven, he could have never made this movie because there's no way he would make a film that's a love letter to his original film. So, in a way, I guess Scream 5 was just never destined to be a Wes Craven project because I don't know if a Scream 5 would have been made if it was just Wes Craven doing whatever he wanted again. But I'm definitely interested in whatever comes next. This was a good love letter, a good continuation. Everything was pretty much handled well for the most part. It has some problems, but this is definitely a pretty solid slasher. A lot of these slashers are returning pretty well. This movie's done pretty well. Halloween's doing pretty good. I don't know what Freddy and Jason are doing. They could be making bank right now, but they're not doing anything. But
Yeah, who knows?
I get why Jason isn't doing anything right now, but like Freddy, it's like there's no excuse. There's no excuse.
Yeah, there really isn't, especially after the last abomination of a nightmare film we got. It'd be nice to see a fresh one.
Yeah, we get another good nightmare film, hopefully, that's dedicated to Wes Craven. But no.
Yeah.
I feel like that could get like one last Robert Englund performance. It's like a big old tribute to Wes Craven that kind of leads us into like new Freddy films, if so.
I mean, it just makes the most sense in like a world of sequels, and
yeah, you can call it a Nightmare on Elm Streets. Nightmare on Elm Streets.
All right, and on that, we're gonna end it because that made me angry. So,
Friday the 13th. Screams.
Friday is the 14th.
What if the next stream's called Screams? And then the third film's called Screamed in past tense.
I'd be very upset. That'd be terrible.
You know the original title for Scream 2 was just Scream, the sequel.
Yeah.
So what's the third film? Scream, the trilogy?
Probably, yeah.
Scream, the remake. Scream, the requel. But yeah.
Yep.
I don't know what we're talking about next week. But
I have no idea, but we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll talk about Hotel Transylvania Transformania.
yeah, you watched that for some reason. Allie read your review and she was very entertained.
Really?
Yeah, she's like, 4 of these. Why are there 4 of these? I watched the 4th one.
It's the 4th one. Why?
Adam Sandler made Jack and Jill, but he wouldn't make the 4th one. By the way, Allie was watching Jack and Jill the other night. Like, she chose to.
I just lost so much respect.
Because she wanted to laugh at how bad it was. Because first she said it was funny, and I was like, wait, did you say this movie's funny? And she's like, no, because of how bad it was. I was like, okay. I was about to hang up, but...
I lost a lot of respect for Alex.
I'm just kidding. She was like, it was funny because how stupid it was. How bad it was. And I was like, yeah, you haven't seen like a lot of good movies, and you watched Jack and Jill.
No, I haven't seen like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but I have seen Jack and Jill 6 times, so I think it's pretty even.
Yeah. But yeah, we've been going for about an hour here, so recommend this film. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5, so I think that's like what, 6.5,
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Yeah, I'd say it's maybe it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. He'll probably
I,
go.
I recommend it. I'd say I definitely like it than 2, 3, and 4 of the Scream franchise. Definitely better than 3. Oh my gosh, it's so much better than 3.
Yeah, it's pretty solid entry. This is definitely one of the better 5th entries in a horror movie franchise. So
yeah,
that's for
absolutely.
sure.
I highly recommend. I would probably say. It's just. I think it's a pretty good way to start off the big releases here in 2022. If you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, comment your thoughts, all the fun stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Catch you guys next time.
No,
Oh, that's true.
absolutely.
I'm literally gonna scream right now.